All right, folks, welcome back to the Adaptations Podcast, where every week we bring somebody involved in fitness. It changes sometimes. Sometimes they're professionals, sometimes they're athletes. Honestly, we're just fitness enthusiasts who want to spread the love. So welcome back to another episode. Today, folks, we're going to be doing something that we've been doing with some of my powerlifting athletes that have completed a competition. This is a meet recap. This is different. People usually do these on Instagram. Not us. Not Adaptations. We adapt. Today, folks, I've got my good friend, my client, Alejandro Toro.
Yo, what's up? What is up?
Let's tell everybody a little bit about Alejandro Toro.
Okay.
Who are you? What do you love to do? Any animals?
Let's see. Animals, yes. What do I like to do? I mean, apart from powerlifting, let's see. Well, I listen to a lot of music. I do read a lot of books. I'm a bartender in New York. I actually work for Amex, and I love all of it. I love doing all that.
Yeah,
that's my shit.
Before we were getting on here, I think we were just talking about happiness.
Yeah.
And I would say you're a pretty jolly, happy guy.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
I like to think so. I mean, just like with anybody, I have my off days. But, that's just being human. So
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about how'd you get into powerlifting. And for those who don't know, powerlifting is essentially just a term that captures strength training as it pertains to the squat, the bench, the deadlift. Except with the powerlifting, typically a competitive powerlifter competes at a meet that is sanctioned by some sort of federation. There's a few of them. WRPF, what's the other one?
USAPL,
USPA. What is the RPS?
RPS.
There's the RPS also. Revolutionary Powerlifting Syndicate. Yeah, that's the one. And then there's USPA. Yeah. There's a few federations out there. Yeah. And also a local gym can just host their own powerlifting meet. Yeah. People do mock
charity
meets. Charity meets. They're just for fun, man. They're fun. We like to feel strong. We like to be strong, right?
Yeah, man.
So how'd you get into it?
Well, I got into it actually accidentally. I used to just go to the gym just for like general fitness stuff. Like I used to be pretty overweight, and then I started going to the gym, started losing weight and everything, and then started doing a bit more strength training, and then eventually one day I ended up at Retro Fitness in Woodbridge, and I met this girl who kind of got me into it. She's the one who introduced me to Mako. She's actually my ex-girlfriend, but we're not going to get into that. But she was actually in powerlifting at the time, and she knew Mako from a friend, and she introduced me to him. He coached me for a little while, and he told me to compete at the charity meet, which I did, which was a lot of fun. The energy there was just so great. Everybody's just so supportive. I like it because it's a very interesting sport because in just a very general way of looking at sports, like in this community, in this society nowadays, it's so competitive, right? Like you look at it and you're like, oh, my team is going to beat your team. It's weird because these teams that are competing against each other, like the way you see the players interact, like they're supportive of each other, right? Like you see them because they dab themselves up and everything at the end and all this stuff. But I like powerlifting because it's like the people that are competing against each other are still supporting each other. Like if I'm competing with somebody, like that person's not going to tell me, it's like, oh, you suck. You're going to miss this lift. You're going to miss this. You're going to miss that. Like look at how people are with like UFC or like boxing, right? Like they're constantly trying to like one up each other. Whereas like in powerlifting, it's like, nah, dude, you got this. Like people are so supportive of each other. Even when they're the same weight class, when they're competing against each other, they're still super supportive. And it's just like, and everybody's just like rooting for you. Like there's not somebody that's like booing you out or anything like that. Like I found it to be a very communal sport, and that's part of why I liked it. Mako showed me that. And so ever since then, I just been doing it.
Yeah, I agree that the powerlifting community can be very supportive. It's really cool. I like that you put that into perspective. Yeah, like even as your competitor is going in before you or they're going in after you, you have like some level of admiration or respect for their ability to lift a certain amount of weight if they're stronger than you, and if they're not stronger than you, then you're also just thinking to yourself, man, whether this is your first meet, like I remember when that was my first meet, whether they've been training for a while. Like, oh, you keep up with them, you keep in touch, and one day they do lap you, one day they are stronger than you. And then if not, then you just develop a very friendly rivalry where you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna out squat you, pussy.
But like, even then it's like in support. Like I remember
it's in support. That's the
it's still in general. Like even when you don't hit a particular weight or anything like that, like you'll still get people who are just like, you had this, man. Next shot. Mm-hmm. Like you'll still get that support, and I like that because it teaches you this idea of community and remembering that, sometimes it's not all about you. And it's just like, and I like that. And I thought I've always enjoyed that particular type of energy. While I am a big advocate for like, independence and doing your own thing and being strong on your own, and that's great. Some people are just competitive like that, and that's just what works for them. Like Taylor Atwood, right? Like he's look at him, right? Like he's one of the best powerlifters in the world, and he's also a very competitive person. And he said it himself that when he's at a regional or like a national meet, like he's like, I'm not your friend. I'm here to beat you, kind of thing. And I get that. That's great. But I also enjoy like the idea of like having other lifters there who are like, got this, bro. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, that's kind of like the point of the community too. I think overall, like it is a community nonetheless. Is like on one side, yeah, you got the supportive side where you're like, yo, you got this, and then you got competitive powerlifters who like they want to win, and then but they still get the support, just not in the way that you might think. Like I think if there was no community here, would he be as strong as he is? And I think often than not, the answer would be no. Because he because of his rivalry with others, because of everybody's like competitive edge. Because of the edge that people are on, trying to beat their competition at the meets. Yeah. They pushed themselves a little bit more. I mean, you felt that, right? The energy of having a crowd cheer you on and yell at you and shout so that you can get that lift and get it up. Just get even though you in your mind, your thought is like, you go like through this process like, okay, I got this. You step out on the stage. Wow, that's a lot of people. Platform. It's called a platform, but I call it a stage. Yeah. Because you're literally putting on a performance. Yeah. Oh, man, that's a lot of people. Wow, that's a lot of lights. Okay, fuck. I'm supposed to lift. Okay, I got to lift. Okay, I'm lifting now. Oh, okay. I got to wait for the commands because you're waiting for the commands. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go now. Okay, now I'm going to go. Oh, fuck, this is heavy. Yeah. Wait, I'm squatting right now. Oh, shit.
Yeah, like it's like this whole... It's like this whole process. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that makes you think like, oh, maybe I should get into meditation. Because damn, bro. Because like the way that some people talk about meditation is like great because it helps keep you in the present. And that's something that I was actively trying to do, especially like during the last both competitions. Like during those times, I was just like, just trying to have a singular thought, like just be in the present and just think, okay, it's just me, the weight. That's it. Like, it's just me, the weight, and this random guy just yelling these things, these commands, and that's it. But it's like, you know how your mind is. It's like a tornado in there. It's like nice and mild at the beginning, and the next thing you know, it just spirals out of control, and you're just like, oh my God, having all these crazy thoughts. But at least with meditation, it's like you can try to like unwind and calm it down and bring yourself back.
So I'm gonna pick apart a little bit of what you said there, because I want to get to know what's going on in your head. I've coached a lot of lifters, and you seem to be more of you think a lot when you lift. Yeah, it seems like like you said, there's a tornado, and with the tornado, there's just a lot of debris flowing in the air, and for you kind of have to calm the storm. Is that seems to be how you approach powerlifting? Like it's a great way for you to meditate as well. That's what it sounds like.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, one of the things that I'm gonna train myself to do in the future is to be a little less reliant on my music, for one thing. I think I've just been relying on my music because it gives me so much energy, but I've also realized that it sort of is a catalyst for my mind to wander a lot. I don't know why in any particular thing, not in reference to a song or anything like that. It's one of those things that's just like, okay, you hear something in the lyric and the next thing you know, you're just like, okay, here, here, and you know how your mind just bounces around from thought to thought, and that's just kind of, it's a
little bit of sports psychology. That's why sports psychology exists, is because, you know, you never want to get distracted. And I think that was the part of the thing that, like, we were talking about in the meet was, you know, don't get distracted. And it's funny because I got that statement, that advice, I got that from Matilda. She's the one who told me, like, when I was going to Adelante, she was like, don't get distracted. And she just said that, and I'm like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Don't get distracted. Like, what am I to get distracted by? And all of a sudden, I go into Adelante to the gym, and I'm saying hi to people. I'm spending 3-4 hours at the gym talking to people. Yeah. I'm about to hit a lift, and I'm thinking about what the people are thinking about me, because they're all my friends, and they're all people I know, and I wonder if they're gonna see me lift. I hope I don't fail in front of my friends. And then, like, you think about, oh damn, I didn't say hi to this person. I hope they don't think I hate them. And it's just, fuck. Oh, this is a good song again. They're all distractions, and that's kind of cool. It's just the ability to not get distracted is a skill on its own. Yeah. That it sounds like you're kind of touching upon. And so that was like my advice to you at the meet, is try to not get distracted. And I think that'll be something that you could try to work on without the music, because the music seems to help you focus. That's what caffeine helps for. There's other, like, supplements, like the focus pill from 110%. Yeah. That I haven't experimented with that yet, but I'd love to give it a try, because it's supposed to enhance that focus, so that you could tunnel in to the activity that you're about to perform. And the people who are most locked in seem to do the best. Yeah. Like, if you look at, like, a Russell or all the elites, they're like, you know, they have that focal point in the sky. Like, it's just a point that they're looking at, and they don't look away from it. They focus on it. They focus on internal cues, external cues, and then they move the weight. And the other thing I was going to say is, with the meditation, the cool thing about your ability to bring yourself down, that must mean that you also have the ability to bring yourself up when the moment demands it. And as a bartender, I'm sure you're put into a lot of positions where you're like, fuck, I just got swamped with like 17 orders at once. 17 people asking for shit, which means each one wants at least 3 drinks per. Yeah. And then you got, I don't know if you've ever had to deal with it, but then you have the tickets being printed from the waiters, and you're just like kind of panicking in that moment, but you've learned to use it and ride it through. Yeah. And then you walk away with a few cha-chings in your pocket, and you're like, damn, I did that.
No, that's pretty accurate, actually, because there's so many days where that kind of seems to be the case, where you just see like a bunch of tickets, like all of a sudden you're like, look away for 1 second and come back, and I'm like, why the hell are there 6 tickets printed? Like, I don't like, and all of these have like 5 drinks on them. Yeah. So it's just like, it's funny because when it comes to like bartending, I'm actually somehow, I don't know, it's just like automatic. I don't actually actively try to do it, but I focus instantly. And it's just, I think that's what I like about it so much, is because my mind is so focused on recipes and specs and all these things. And it's just, as I'm doing it, I'm like, all right, that's all I'm thinking about, is making this drink and getting it out. That's all I'm focused, because there's a directive there, right? Like you know what you have to do, and you do it, and you do it well, right? And you do it well and you do it right. And it's like, it's funny because I'm usually like, if you see me at work, I'm like very social. In general, I'm just like a very sociable person. At least I like to think so. But when I have moments like those where I get hit with like so many tickets and so many orders, I like focus down and I get real quiet. And I was telling my boss that the other day, because she hasn't worked with me yet, but she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm great. Like, I'm good. It's just people keep asking me if I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm trying to get the work done."
You just gotta smile.
Yeah, like
you might have a rust and bitch face, my friend.
No, but here's the thing. It's
you
like
might have one.
When you smile, it's like you're welcoming this people to.
That's okay. That's okay. You just got. Yeah.
She told me. It's funny because I had actually told her, I was like, because one of the head bartenders there was like, he was seeing me run through these tickets, run through these orders, and he was like, "Are you good? What do you need? What are you good? What do you need?" And I was like, "I'm fine. I'm good." Just stop. He kept asking though, and it started getting me annoyed. It's like when somebody tells you to calm down when you're angry. Yeah. Don't tell me to calm down. I'm angry. You're gonna make me more angry. Yeah. So it's like, and then my boss was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, just tell Danny to stop asking me if I'm okay. I'm good." Like,
fucking Danny. Just like, hey man, Danny, if you're listening to this, stop asking him if he's okay.
Bro. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah. And it's just like with bartending, like it's funny how that works so automatically. With lifting, usually what I guess maybe something that I'd recommend and something for myself is just sort of creating this one thought in your head that keeps you focused and then using that thought constantly. Like for me, what helped during the meet was I just thought about like my parents because they were there for the first time. So I was just like very excited to have them there, and they were like a good energy to have because they're not the loudest. And my parents are adorable and they're like so mild, but I see them like with their little cheers on the side, and I go in there and I saw them, and once I saw them, my focus like honed in, and then that's it. You know, like that's all that was in my brain. So pick something, pick a thought, practice it. Like when you're going into these lifts, when you're doing your 1 rep maxes or your RPE of 8s or 9s, whatever the program is that you're following, whatever the case is, like have that one thought and just keep it on your brain. Like it's fine if you wander, but just constantly try to bring yourself back. Like just that's what meditation is. It's not like finding the perfect like equanimity. It's just learning to bring yourself back from the chaos, from the storm.
Was that like the first time your parents saw you compete?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
I've been in at least like 5 competitions, and they haven't had the chance to come to them. 2 of them were in PA. That's part of the reason why.
Yeah.
And also my dad's a little older, so he can't really move around too much.
Were you nervous about that?
About what? Them being there?
Uh-huh.
Very.
Mm.
Very. Like it's yeah, very much so. Cuz it's funny, I found it funny because when I went in like for this competition, I went 7 for 9, and the 2 lifts that I missed were my last 2 squats. And funny enough, since squat was at the beginning, I knew they were there, I just couldn't find them. And I felt like that's part of what distracted me was when I was out there, I was looking for them. Like just subconsciously, like, or just kind of, my mind was just kind of wandering a little bit because I was like, where are they? Where are they? Like, you know, and it's, yeah. And I think there was other variables at play, of course, but I want to say for emotional reasons that part of the reason why I missed the lift was because I couldn't find my parents.
That's fair, man. Yeah.
You know, because once I found them, once I found where they were seated, the rest of my lifts just went off, right? Like everything else just went great. But yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a very valid point. That happened to me too when we went to I think it was like USAPL States. This is like some of the most stressful powerlifting meet that I had ever prepared for and competed at. You know, similarly to you, my parents had never been to a powerlifting meet, even though I'd competed for 5 years at that point. They finally decided they were going to show up. I was going to Adelante, and at the time, it was like the battle of the 93s here in Jersey. Okay. So it was like me, Nick, what's his last name? Nick, I call him Big Dick. Tadrick, yeah. Yes. Damn, I haven't seen him in a while. He's going to hate me for calling Big Dick Nick on the podcast, but he's awesome, yeah.
He hasn't, I think he retired, don't I?
Yeah, he doesn't. He said he doesn't want to powerlift anymore, but it's because of, again, the pressure out a lot. And this is the point I'm about to make. We got him, me, Tom, Mike Wesniak. Was there another 93 that I could think of? That was kind of in the running. That was it for the top for now. But for the most part, it was like the first. I don't want to say the first. It was a very competitive meet. We all had very similar numbers. We were all trash talking each other. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, it was like, who's gonna squat 600 pounds first? Who's gonna deadlift 700 pounds first? No one. We kind of knew. I don't think anybody was really aiming for the 400-pound bench besides Tom Magarelli and maybe Nick, but that was it, yeah. And the pressure around Adelante was, I remember having people coming up to me and saying, honestly, I hope you win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit. I want to work out right now.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to put that in my mind?
Yeah.
And then I'd have to go talk to Nick, and in my head, I'm talking to him. I'm trying to be friends with him, but I'm also like, I'm going to beat you. And he's probably thinking the same thing. But we love each other. Like, we're boys. But then you go out to the crowd, the meet day. I had to show up. Showed up in like that blue tracksuit with the pink. Matilda with the pink tracksuit with the WWE Championship belt. I had to put on a show, man. People were watching. We had spectators. And so, it's come meet day. The nerves are there, man. I like you. My parents were out there. Everybody was watching us. Yeah. Everybody was cheering us on. And man, I was shook. I was scared as fuck. Didn't do so well that day. Honestly, I hit like a 585 high bar, like high squat in training. That day, I only hit my opener. I failed a 573, I think. Yeah, it's just something I should have done for at least 2 reps. But I think it goes back to what you were saying though. Like, one thing I realized that helps with that like anxiety, that nervousness, is coming up with that recipe, like in bartending. Trying not to get distracted and staying present and locked into the moment. Just thinking of that recipe of the only thing I know how to do is a Jack and Coke. Okay, Jack, Coke, ice. All right, so like in squat, okay, load the bar, abs. Think of external cues at some point. Yeah. You got to think of external cues. So chest to floor. It's a little bit of internal, but chest to floor, and now push back into the bar. Come up fast, aggressive, strong, powerful. Yeah. And I wasn't able to do that day. I was just so distracted with everything. Yeah. Then came the meet after that, and that's when I was able to like zone everybody out. It's so interesting, like you were saying, like zone everybody out. It's just you and the barbell. You're just going in there to do work. And you think of those cues, like the recipe, down, up, and just get it done. Yeah. But that's what I love about the sport of powerlifting is it's your ability to practice that not at an elite level. Maybe some people pick up basketball, some people pick up soccer, some people pick up like volleyball. They play all their pickleball. Yeah. It's their method to practice that. But the ability to play in front of a crowd. Yeah. Perform.
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of sports in general. I mean, and that's I don't know. I mean, any sport, really. It's not conducive to just powerlifting. I think powerlifting is cool because it gives you this, I don't know, my parents asked me, it's like, why do you do this? Like, why do you, like, put your body through, like, so much of the stress? And I'm like, well, it's not stress when you're, like, teaching your body to do it properly. Eventually your body gets stronger and it adapts, and it's kind of like a little bit like life, where it's just like you have these little wins. It's not all big wins, like you see some people post like, 20 kg PR, 30 kg PR, great, cool. Not everybody's gonna have that. Like sometimes you're not even gonna PR. I didn't PR during this meet, and I still did great. I still feel great, and it's just like I don't need to like always PR because I know that I'm PRing as I go along. These little ones, these little wins for me. I'll take those for myself. I don't need to let people know that I won. I won myself. Like I have enough integrity and confidence in my own abilities that I don't need other people's like validate. Not to say that that's what everybody does by doing these kinds of things, by posting it constantly, but I personally choose not to because I like to keep it to myself. I'm like, look, man, I got a W. I won. There you go. That's it. It's mine. Yeah. It's mine. It doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to anybody else. I don't care if you know about it. You want to ask me about it, fine. I'll tell you all about it. Obviously, I'm a very loquacious individual, but it's like I don't need to let you know that I won. So that's it.
It's good.
Yeah.
It was a good day. With that, let's go tell people how it went. So we're going to pull up the stats. Alejandro Toro weighed in at 74.8 kilograms. That is 164.9.8.
Damn. That was really close. Even John said that.
That was really close. John weighed you in?
Yeah, John weighed me in.
Shout out John DeLessio, the father of powerlifting. One of the biggest reasons why it's still prevalent in New Jersey. Yeah.
He told me he tried to do it in Delaware once.
You did?
He was like, try to do it in Delaware. He's like, it's a dead state out there, man. There's nothing out there. I'm just like, hey, man, I couldn't have told you that. But, yeah, he was like, he saw 74.8. He was like, oof.
Cutting it close there, buddy.
Cutting it close.
So you hit your opener on squat, 150-pound squat. It's so funny because then, no, it's not funny. But I just think it's ironic because that was the one where your parents weren't there.
Yeah.
Damn it, mom and dad. Because then you missed the 157.5. The second time, based off of depth, the third time, it was just not there.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you. I think telling you to switch up your position and your toes, like I thought your hips are kind of tight. For you to sink it a little lower, it'll be hard. It'll be easier if you just open up your toes. But now thinking about it again, you seem to be very like adductor oriented when you're squatting. So like you like to push your big toe down, and just turning your toes out, even the slightest, does bias more of the glutes. Although I thought you were a little bit more glute dominant too, but it seems to be like you really bias the adductor, your adductors. Like I don't know if you noticed, like your knees, they don't cave in. There's no like excessive knee valgus, but when you do squat heavy, there is some, and then your hips shoot back a little bit, and then you pop right up. But dude, those judges were being fucking tough, and this is in no way insulting their judgment, because I think their judgment calls were. They were honest. They were good. Yeah. They were just tough, man. They were tough. They called you for depth, and honestly, when I was looking at it, it was like just a smidge up high. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I think we might be able to get away with this because they're new judges and they don't really have that trained eye. Yeah. I'm like, they got it. They got it. That's good. They're good.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, that's kind of that's what you want, though.
That's what you want.
That's what you want, because it's like, you're not being babied.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not you don't want like.
It makes it fun. It makes
it makes it challenging.
Yeah, it makes it challenging.
Like, even though like a part of you is just like, oh man, I want to win so bad.
Yeah.
It was like, come on guys, give me that extra little help.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, you don't want that. You want the person that's gonna like really challenge you. That's gonna call you on your shit. Just because it's like, look, man, it's if you get the toughest judges now, the rest of the meets that you do are gonna be cake.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's just like, hey man, if I can reach death with John watching me, hey man, I'm good. Yeah. Like I'm like, if he's approving of it, then I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. I know I reached death. He's like, excuse me, I have a letter from John D'Alessio. He said that I've hit death before. So just making a case for myself.
Yeah, they don't give a shit though. They will call you for depth. They're like, I don't give a shit if John called. I'm the judge here. Yeah. I'm the one saying no. And it's funny. So Rue, Rue. Yeah. He came up to me and walked to me. And I was in the judge's seat before, and this happened to me where Tom brought up a call, like a picture that he had of one of the calls I made, and in the picture it was like pretty to depth, but I called it and red flagged it. And then I'm looking at the picture, I'm like, damn, maybe I made a mistake, right? So Rue walks up to me. He's like, hey, does this look like it's to depth to you? And I'm like, aha, somebody else made a mistake. I'm not the only one. I look at the picture and I'm like, nah, dude, this is pretty high. And they got that. It was really good because it was like an all black singlet and the crease was barely visible, but the top of the hip crease, the top of the surface of the leg was above the top of the surface of the knee. Yeah. So it was not qualified. And folks, that's what the qualifications for USAPL depth is on squats. The top surface of the upper thigh must be below the top surface of the upper knee. So even 90 degrees is not parallel. Even 90 degrees or parallel is not to depth. It's not to the USAPL standards. Yeah. But yeah, good calls. Like again, made it challenging, made it fun. Yeah. Put us on our toes for bench and for deadlifts. Let's see here. So for bench, we opened up at. So for bench, I know we wanted a little bit more because it was going well in training. But again, those judges, those calls, we wanted it to be a little bit more conservative. I also wanted you to bounce back mentally from squats. And so we lowered down your opener from, I think we had originally planned like a 115 opener. Yeah. Or 117 and a half, actually.
Yeah, it was like 250. I think it was like 260.
Yeah. And that would have been like a PR on it. Not a PR, but that would have been the highest you've ever opened.
Yeah, for sure.
But listen to those. first-time handlers, first-time competitors, when in doubt, lower it down. Because at the end of the day, hey, man, I just wanted you to have fun.
Yeah.
I didn't want you going out there and failing in front of your parents.
Yeah.
And, like, thinking about your parents and having to, like, lift very heavy weight and being nervous. So we went down. But still a good bench day because all of those attempts flew.
Yeah.
All of them. 110 flew. 115 kilos flew. Even 120 kilos flew. And, folks, for those of you who don't know kilos and pounds, that is 264 pounds. 264. I think so. Your opener must have been a little bit below that because, yeah, that's close to your all-time PR of 275, right? So 10 pounds away from your all-time PR with some tough judging. Not too shabby, mi amigo.
No.
And then we move on to deadlifts. Deadlifts. Well, actually, let's go back. Let's go back to squats. What are your thoughts on squats? How do you feel that squats were going during your meet prep and at the meet?
Honestly, like I'm still considered, at least to myself, like a beginner as far as powerlifting is concerned, just because there's people out there who have done it for years on end. You know, Taylor Atwood's been doing it for 8 years. Russell Lord, he's been doing it for like the same amount of time. Jamal Browner, same thing. All these guys were like super big in powerlifting. And it's like, we all like to think that, we all know that we have like one lift that could use some work, right? We all, at least I imagine so, that, you know, some people are constantly comparing it that way. We're just like, okay, my bench needs some work. Okay, maybe my deadlift needs some work. My squat isn't really my best. So for me, I feel like my squat has always been like one of my weaker lifts. Weaker in the sense of like consistency compared to the rest, right? Like bench was real honed in. Bench has been honed in for a while now, which is great. And deadlift is also one of those ones that's like really becoming a bit more honed in now. But squat is the one that's like so much variability in there. So I mean, I felt good going up to it. It did knock me off my course when I got red lid for the second attempt. I think that's what threw me off on my third attempt, because I'm like, damn, all right. And then there was just so much going on. But overall, though, I mean, I think it would have been, you know, should the consistency had been there that day, then I think it would have been great. I mean, I could have hit it during the last competition. The last competition we did in January, you know, we went 2 for 3 on squats, but that was only because that judge was like, he made a bad call, and ironically enough, right after that call, they replaced him. So I'm like, it's kind of messed up. You guys shouldn't have had him up there in the first place, but whatever, it's fine. I would have hit that. Just anyways.
I know you would have. Yeah. 364 pounds would have been yours.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, as far as the squats are concerned, I'm like a little shaky in consistency, but it honed in later.
I mean, as far as bench goes, copacetic, right?
Yeah, copacetic. Yeah. Rule of thumb. Keep it copacetic.
Keeping it copacetic.
Yes.
And then let's move on to deadlifts, my friend. How were deadlifts going in prep? How did you feel going into the meet? And with the results that you got, how are you feeling about that?
The technique for deadlifts has changed a lot over the past few years. Years, I guess. Just because I've always had this one particular issue that I've been annoyed with, and I've constantly tried to change it, but now it seems like it's really kind of coming together. As far as the technique.
What's the issue?
It's that low back rounding thing. It's just like so exhausting to watch. It's like we're our own selves' worst critic. It's like every time we'll watch a lift and you'll tell me like, oh, you did, it was good. It was a good lift. And I'm just like, yeah, but I see my back rounding. You're like, your back rounds every now and then.
That's your upper
happens.
back.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about your upper back whenever I was saying that.
I used to have like a real bad low back rounding during deadlifts, and I was like, this is the worst.
Because I don't want people out there thinking that I think it's okay to round your lower back.
No, upper back rounding is.
It depends, but it's okay for the most part. Okay.
Depends for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, body mechanics vary from lifter to lifter, so it's just like a little upper back rounding. That's fine. I used to have a real issue with low back rounding, and that was my big nuisance.
Yeah.
So I mean, but luckily enough, we've honed it in. Now it's looking a lot better, a lot more consistent, and the deadlifts felt great. They all flew. Like all 3 attempts. If anything, the third attempt, it's funny because that was a PR for my last meet, and that one flew faster than the second. So I think it could have gone like 3 reds and a blue, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah. You hit 210 kilograms. That's, what is that in pounds? 210
465
times 2.2046. That is indeed 462.9. Yes. Yeah, that was good. I think the biggest challenge for you, like, it's not even just you, because it's really the hardest part about deadlifts for all of us is learning how to take the slack out of the bar and then use your levers to pull the weight. It's a lot more technical than it is the way that you would think about it. Like sumo, you think sumo deadlifts is just press up and that's it. But I guess to a degree that's true. You definitely want to do that for sure. But you also want to use your leverage and take the slack out of the bar to produce the most amount of force.
Yeah.
Mind you, you're pulling something like really heavy fast off the ground. So for you to think of that technique and that skill work in a short period of time, that requires a lot of patience. That's why people like to say patience off the floor. Be patient. Because when you're pulling the slack out and when you're doing that, it feels like a long time at the bottom, like outside of the hole. You want to like instinctively want to get out of there as fast as possible, and get the lift over with. You don't really want to spend too much time lingering in that little area where it feels strenuous and just tough.
Yeah.
But that's the part where you're starting to pull most of the slack and most of the weight so that the rest of it just goes up.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part. That's the tricky part about like the sumo deadlifts is your lockout is determined by how well you came off the ground.
Yeah.
Conventional isn't always the case. Conventional, you can sort of grind out a lift.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think take it from somebody who's like, if you follow any of these powerlifters, like, Jamal Brown is probably like one of the best deadlifters in the world right now. And he's like, strong. The dude pulled like 1,000 pounds for 2 reps. Like, that's like, it's hilarious because that was my total at a meet. Like, he pulled that with just once.
I love those videos. They're like, my application to 1,000-pound club pulls 1,000 pounds.
And he's just like, it's insane. But even he said it where he was, and he's been doing both. If you follow him on Instagram, you see that he's doing both conventional and sumo. And one of the things that he mentions is sumo is a lot more technique based. It's a lot easier for you to grind out a conventional lift, compared to like a sumo. You can't really grind out a sumo.
Yeah.
You can't there's nothing to grind out. You can't you're grinding, but it's like, at that point, it's like already off the ground, ideally. But with conventional, it's just like once you could just just kind of back it out.
Yeah, definitely more muscle.
Yeah.
And I think that's why with sumo, because it's more skill based, you do end up pulling more weight. And also the range of motion is typically lower, or smaller than the conventional. But the conventional is like, you're like a different breed if you pull conventional. You're an animal. Like you must be like, if you're strong with conventional,
dude. 100%.
Fuck, man. Those guys, those backs are huge.
Yeah.
Always.
Look at it's that guy that I showed you, Edward Blair. Edward Blair is this. I don't know where he's from, but if you see his convention, dude is insane. He tore his bicep like a few months ago, but he's already back. Like, the guy's he's a monster bench specialist. Like, the dude like benches like over 500 pounds. He deadlifts conventional. And when you watch it, like I like watching him deadlift. He's the only person that I like watching deadlift conventional because I'm like, damn, this guy's just a monster. I just want to deadlift conventional like he does because he's just so like he's just
brute force.
He's just brute force. Like, he's just like strong. He's jacked. So I'm just like, yes. But yeah. So I mean, I felt that they went great. Second attempt, definitely felt a little slightly heavier because I felt like the jump from the first attempt to the second attempt was pretty high, which is fine because if anything, the second attempt was actually going to be the opener, I think. So yeah, it's good. It's a good way to get the confidence up, and then next, the second attempt hit the 430 and it was great. Then I went up to like 460 and I was like, still felt great. Yeah,
that was a little bit intentional. I was not playing a little game. It was like a different strategy, as opposed to being so close in proximity within like 4 or 5% of each attempt.
Mm-hmm.
I did base it more off of kilos, like the total kilos, to give us some wiggle room in case we needed it to lower the attempt on the next one.
Yeah.
But overall, it went well, man. It went well. It played out because, I just wasn't sure how you were going to go into your thirds, all things considered. But for the most part, it was a really good meet. It was fun. I'm happy that you enjoyed the competition, that your parents enjoyed watching you lift, and they saw you go 7 for 9 on lifts. Very good lifts. Any plans for the next meet?
I think I want to aim a little higher. I don't, I did it at Adelante, and I had been wanting to lift there for a while now. I had been wanting to compete there for a while now, just because I love Maku. The dude is just awesome. He's such a good guy.
He's amazing.
He's a dude. He's such a great dude. He can go instantly from being like this super like zenned out dude to like just a rager, and it's hilarious to watch. I remember, but it was I've been wanting to compete there because I wanted him to see me.
Yeah.
Right. I also I value his opinion. Right.
Yeah.
Like he's still a very important catalyst to this whole journey. And I remember once when we competed at States, man, the dude's got freaking gorilla hands.
Yeah, he does.
Like, they were freaking
it's
massive.
Huge.
The dude clapped my back before I went for a deadlift, and I hit it, and it was great.
Yeah.
But then I went home that day.
You're like, out my back.
Shirt, and I'm like, fuck, I have bruises. And they didn't go away. I woke up the next day, and I still had them, and I'm like, man, this guy's hands are freaking monstrous. Like, I'm just like, but yeah. I mean, as far as the next step, I'm gonna take a quick break for the next few months, because I feel like I've been doing nothing but training for the past year. But I wanted to aim maybe regionals, maybe try to do states again. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be exciting. That'd be exciting.
I wouldn't mind. Just a bigger challenge.
A bigger arena.
Yeah.
Different scene.
Different people. I wouldn't mind going somewhere. Like, how people go to down to Texas to do, I don't know what it is, nationals or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Those are always fun.
So, I mean, I wouldn't maybe not nationals, maybe regionals, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how training goes once I get back into it. So.
Fuck yeah, dude. Awesome. Well, that's it. That's all for today, folks. Thank you all for tuning in. Catch us next time on the Adaptations Podcast.